Ever wondered how to hack a badge at Defcon? Let's spill the bytes. This year, Alt-Key cracked the code and hacked the Defcon badge, creating a slick NFC item duplication method. Meanwhile, Sledge, our favorite goon, shares his epic adventures, complete with a hammer and a chicken. Plus, we dissect the latest IPv6 remote code execution vulnerability. It's all part of this week's InfoSec fun. Whether you're an InfoSec pro or just love a good geek out session, we've got you covered. Let's roll.
Why do 90% of hackers swear by CounterSurveil? Let's dive in and find out. In the labyrinthine world of cyberspace, every click leaves a trace. But with CounterSurveil, you become the unseen. Our podcast takes you deep into the heart of hacking, where firewalls crumble and secrets unravel. From white hat heroes to shadowy code warriors, we cover the spectrum. Join us on Iron Geek, your portal to mastering the art of stealth and tools, tricks and tales that define This is CounterSurveil. Unmask the unknown.
Into the sound waves, secrets of the dark maze, dark codes in the nighttime, information, gold lines.
Hello, and welcome to the CounterSurveil Podcast. I am your co-host here with Sledge, and we are lucky enough today to have Alt-Key, pretty cool chick who managed to hack the Defcon badge and away with NFC where she could duplicate items, share a bunch of items with anybody. Pretty cool shit, but she's going to do a way better job of playing that than me. Also, Rogo should not still be playing. There we go. Get the heck out of there. All right. Alt-Key, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Hi. So, it's actually an IR item duplication glitch rather than NFC. My bad. No worries. Just for clarity, I do not believe there's NFC capabilities on this badge at this time, but that would have been a killer add-on. NFC on this thing would have been. But anyways, so basically, I found the glitch because for anyone who has this badge, I will go ahead and walk you through real quick the process of booting this thing up. 1 second. There it goes. So you have this. All right. And press start. Okay, this starts the intro. Still going. Still going. Can't skip it. I've tried everything to skip this. It's like, still going. Still going. Yep. Those are a lot of lost frames for a speed run. I got really sick of this, especially seeing I actually did intend to speed run the game. Finally, we're out of that. That's a solid 30 seconds. And then we're actually to the game. Issue here being, I ain't got that many years left on my life. Come on, guys. We can't be doing this. So, that combined with the fact that unpatched, this thing did not save games at all, which means every time I'd pick this thing up from Defcon, because I'd be in a line or something, I would actually have to go out of my way to watch that again and again and again. So any time save was absolutely required. And I
Can I stop you for 2 seconds?
Yes.
Remind me what the buttons were. Which one is start?
Okay. Start is up here. It's really hard to see, but there is a slight graphic on the side that does indicate it. It's just
I guess you're right. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, I didn't see that until after I got home. Lol.
I didn't have time to play with it while I was there.
Well, you were a goon. Of course you didn't. Anyways. So I noticed that there's IR. Now, of course, when you pop the SD card into a computer, it gives you a copy of the firmware, it gives you the ROM, it also gives you some readmes. And one of the readmes says IR was never implemented properly. And naturally, this makes me curious. And as a Flipper owner, and the fact that you're supposed to be able to send items with this, I figured I could complete a few quests just once to get the items from said quest, put them in my flipper, and never have to touch that again. And that is how it started. And in theory, it was pretty simple. In fact, the first test went quite well. What you did is you went into your inventory. I have all the items on this particular model as I have patched this firmware. You'd go into your inventory. You would find an item, push send, and learn the remote. That goes on the top. Item saved.
It didn't focus very well, but okay.
Uh-oh. Well, item saved, push the save button. Congratulations, you now can send yourself infinity of this item, as well as to send it to anyone else who also has a badge. The problem is, you'll notice that there's numbers next to it. This is raw _1999. And that is, for some reason, the amount of signal sent. A water bottle is 999. What happens if you take that to 1,000? You get crashed badges. And that is what I tested on you, Sledge.
Hey, but it worked.
It worked. And in fact, your badge is the only badge that handled it cleanly, which is unique because it's also the only goon badge I tested.
I also have 2 RAM chips and updated firmware.
That would make sense. And in fact, mine is actually frozen on the screen, and I actually have to go in and now reset the game in order to play it again, which means I have to wait through that stupid cutscene again. So I ended up saving myself no time at all. However, I did end up making some interesting friends and crashing a few Defcon badges.
Nice.
Good stuff. That was fun.
You guys like to know how it works? Like how you can do that yourself? If you have
why don't you walk us through it?
All right. So Sledge actually has the camera that can actually focus on his badge.
You just have to remind me what buttons to push because I haven't played with the badge yet.
All right. No worries. Sledge, would you mind focusing in on that badge for me? All right. So, okay, good. We're already through this intro cutscene. Yay. What you're going to want to do is go to Defcon, as in leave the hotel room.
What buttons do what?
You just walk out the door.
Nothing's happening. Is it crashed?
Push A few times to clear up the text box. A. That's start. That's select. Down. Right hand down.
Well, one of them buttons will do it eventually.
I think it's
this
locked up.
Oh, no. All right.
Demo gods.
Well, demo gods have struck again, but that's okay, because I'll just have to hold my badge all the way out here.
Good. Well, that works.
So there is one item in this game that is the most consistent item, and you can get it upon loading into the game, basically, as long as you know where it's located. It begins kind of a pretty long fetch quest string.
Yeah, that's odd. I think some of my buttons just don't work.
Actually, 1 second. I've got this thing running on emulator. What am I doing?
You can do it.
All right. Give me 1 second to load up the emulator. I'm on NixOS, so everything's a little bit weirder. I actually have to read through my NixOS config to remember which one I have.
Mutable file system.
Yeah, I mean, Nix is pretty cool. It's definitely something to cover another time. Same boy, right? There we go. So, you can actually probably see that on my screen without me even having to present. All right, let's see here. All right. Yep, y'all can see that. Okay, so you go start, and now you wait for the intro, which I can actually speed up because it's an emulator. Yay! That should have been in the base game, just saying.
That's a Game Boy Advance emulator, right?
No, this is actually specifically Game Boy Color, to my knowledge.
Game Boy Color. Excellent.
This is one of few that are included in the Nix OS. Just put it in your config and you're good. Even better is it also actively monitors hardware registers. So good for troubleshooting. Anyways, we're going to go all the way over here. Okay, that's as left as we can go. Now we're going to go up. This is registration. Reason you'd want this is this girl right here wants a bottle of water, which is $6.50 at real Defcon.
Is it possible to share your screen?
Oh, absolutely.
Can't quite see from the camera angle.
Okay.
So you hit that present button on the bottom left, and then you can just select what you would like to share.
All right, 1 second. Share screen. Share screen. All right. Yeah. All right. So to get back, I'm going to get back to the hotel and show you from the hotel. I am now sharing my screen.
All right, just 1 second. I have a file upload going here, and I cannot interact with the screen until it's done in another 45 seconds. So
no
worries.
Stall. Well, until then, I guess I could talk about some of the implications of this IR thing. So, I crashed a bunch of badges, which was pretty awesome, actually. I was just going up to random people. Hey, you want a drink in game? Yeah, sure. It's funny how people just blindly trust hackers at Defcon.
So to make that work, they had to put it in receive mode, correct?
Correct. They would have to, and I will show you receive mode on here. I can't actually receive an item because it will crash the emulator. As the emulator obviously does not have IR. Why would it? That would be kind of weird. But I'm happy to show you the menu options.
Okay.
It also meant I had to walk a lot of people through that menu a lot of times.
Like you did for me, I was like, I haven't even touched this thing since I got it.
In your defense, it was late and you had spent all day gooning, so
Dude, we were doing 17 to 20 miles a day unless my pedometer was drunk.
Okay, so we are now online. Okay, so from the hotel room. 1 second. From the hotel room, you will want these eventually. But you can't share them, so they're not really useful for the IR demo. Anyways, we're going to go to the far left, up. And I use this registration right here as kind of a mark to tell me where I'm going. We're going to go up as far as we can.
And they did their best to emulate the venue, too, in this.
Mm-hmm. And I also was confused moving through the venue, so it didn't help me much in game, which is why I had to navigate like this. You'll see my derpy navigation methods in a second, but there's probably better pathing to get to the water bottle. But, this is just idiot-proof, really. So, you go as far up as you can, then you go right until you see CTF. Go down till you see vendors. Take a left and vending machines. All right, these vending machines have everything you need and they don't take your cash, unlike the ones in the actual venue, which is $6.50 for a bottle of water. So we're going to grab...
If they work at all.
If they work at all, yeah. So we're going to grab a bottle of water, and would you look at that? We have the most consistent item in the game for this. This particular item actually sends 999 signals, interesting enough. And if you try to send it, which you would do from that menu, it'll crash the game because it's an emulator. But that's what it looks like. And at that point, what you would do is you put your flipper up here, make sure you're on Learn New Remote, send it, and now you have it in your flipper. To receive this, you would, 1 second. I'm actually going to reset real quick. to receive an item, and this is what I've had to walk a lot of people through in order for me to crash their badges in glorious fashion. You skip the intro because, oh my god, I swear I lost a year of my life to that. I'm going to go into menu, inventory, receive item. That's it. From there, all I have to do is blast some signals your way and items received.
Can confirm. That was pretty cool.
And badges crashed sometimes.
Well, I didn't, but I received it.
Yeah, he actually received the item, which means his badge is the only one it ever worked on. But, of course, there's some interesting implications to this, particularly seeing that the new firmwares, the ones that have been patched, I haven't seen one of them that focused on fixing the IR, which basically means that's an unpatched crash. It would be very, very interesting if someone could maybe even emulate the IR or find some way they can watch the registry while the IR is running. You could probably get some pretty interesting code execution that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think the reason mine didn't crash is because I had that second RAM chip on it.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that if you look at your badge, there's you see the RAM chip, right? And then above it, there's another spot where you could put a second one. And the reason for that is these badges are touchscreen. So if you put a second RAM chip on there, you could install Palm OS, and then it enables the touchscreen function. I haven't tried it yet, but that's what everybody was saying. It's possible.
And it would be very interesting to see if there's some way I could maybe even add mobile capabilities to these badges. I would love to get some 3G on this thing.
Or like maybe Meshtastic would be cool. Like anything.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Gotta love Meshtastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, where's the RAM chip on here, dude?
Let me switch cameras. I'll show you. Oh, my mouse is dead. Lovely demo gods. Should have sacrificed one of my cats.
I don't know. The other one did look kind of plump. He'd make a good sacrifice.
So if you look at your badge, just to the right of this pad here, there's 2 chips right here, if you can see it. So notice I have 2. You should probably only have 1. I'm going to turn my light on.
I only have 1. As can be seen there. My badge is clear, so I figured it might be easier to see it.
So let's go like this. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Those
He has
2 chips
2.
right
I
there.
have 1.
Yep.
Community badge also has 1.
They all have 1. There was a guy that went to the store, bought a strip of RAM chips, and was just soldering it on for everybody. And I was like, I'll have some of that.
Classic Defcon.
Yeah.
Classic Defcon.
Yes, let me just solder this thing into your chip, and you'll be fine. Just trust me.
Just let random
RAM.
Defcon attendees solder your stuff. It always ends well. Always do that.
Always let the hackers play with the things. They'll make them better. They certainly won't backdoor anything. That was really cool.
Thank you.
We would like if you would stick around for the rest of the podcast and maybe even become a regular. So,
absolutely.
Nice. So next up, we have a little thing I tried to put together that definitely did not go as well as it could have. We're going to see how it came out. And
down the hallway, Defcon night and day. Sledge with his hammer, rubber chicken play. People gather round him, backpack hammer loud. Ask us any questions.
That one
20 minutes of
disclaimer.
video editing right before the freaking thing with its own AI song. There you go.
Good times.
That was fun, man. Those are some good
Oh,
times.
you should pull up the video of us trolling the shit out of humans for those fake black badges.
Oh yeah, I gotta upload that first, so you gotta give me a little bit, but I'll grab it. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Stall for a sec. My dogs are freaking out.
Well, you said you're gonna sacrifice a cat. That might be why.
Might as well sacrifice a dog while I'm at it, right?
So we are sledgeless. So let us continue on. So did you hear about this IPv6 vulnerability that came out this week, remote code execution?
I haven't.
So this one seems to be in the TCP IPv6 stack. And the advice they gave everybody until they could patch was make sure any Windows system is not internet facing that's got IPv6 enabled. Looks pretty bad. Came out right after Defcon. So like most of the people who would be dealing with this are probably on their way home on a plane, you know,
hungover.
bit hungover. It was
Just
interesting.
Running
don't
joke that I
connect
had with
Windows
some
to the
friends.
internet.
We had
So-
a running joke about this one with some friends saying, yeah, nobody understands IPv6, so now that it's getting more popular, shit like this is going to happen more often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was an integer underflow weakness in the stack, and it can lead to a buffer overflow. It allows unauthenticated attackers to execute arbitrary code on vulnerable systems by sending specifically crafted IPv6 packets. I can speak sometimes. So the nature of this vulnerability is that the issue stems from this integer underflow in Windows and the TCP IPv6 implementation. This can be exploited by sending repeated, specifically crafted IPv6 packets, allowing attackers to execute code remotely without any user interaction. It's what we call a zero-click vulnerability. All Windows systems with IPv6 enabled are vulnerable. This includes Windows 10, 11, Windows Server versions. This is enabled on default by those systems, making them susceptible to attack until they're patched. It is also considered a wormable vulnerability, meaning that you could potentially have it spread across networks without any user interaction. Microsoft has rated the exploitability as more likely, indicating there's a high risk of exploitation, and it's got a 9.8 on the CVSS scale. You'd think it would have a 10, but I guess they just don't give that 10 out too easily.
It depends on, is there a POC available?
That depends on who you talk to and who you know.
It'd
But
probably be a 10 if anyone understood IPv6.
there is a POC supposedly out, but I have not come across it just yet. Definitely not publicly out, but
That's
very
what I'm saying.
likely,
Like, if it was public, that would be a 10.
Oh yeah. So mitigations for this until you can patch, and this past Patch Tuesday did have the patch for this. So if you haven't rolled that out yet, just disable IPv6 and call it a day. Also, if you're on a large network, maybe it might be a good idea to go through your firewall rules and make sure you're not allowing any IPv6 inbound to your network if you are a network guy. This is how you can kind of avoid dealing with this crap for now until
And
you
make
can
sure
patch.
you have CloudStrike installed.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely protect you and won't crash your system ever.
Might I use this opportunity to remind everyone about our Lord and Savior Linux?
All praise the church.
Hey,
of
Linux
Ryan.
got popped by that too.
Linux is great. Sledge, what Linux distro do you like the best nowadays?
Debian.
Pretty good answer. You know, fairly solid, got good package management.
And all the flavors of it just work. Ubuntu is so bloated, like it.
Agreed. Ugh. Like, if I want something like that, I just use Pop OS. If I want Ubuntu at this point.
It's like, I just need a simple web server. Come on.
At that point, I'm using Debian. And, of course, I daily drive Nix. Happy to Nix.
Yeah.
You're the first person I heard who's daily driving Nix as their main OS. That's pretty cool.
My dog is named Nix.
Well, I really do enjoy Nix. I used to daily
He's a
drive
cool
the
dog.
Dora Silverblue, and Nyx is way easier to manage. It's not one of those, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to spin up a VM just to do my daily activities, which is something I was experiencing a lot with Silverblue.
So you're running it on hardware?
Yeah, hardware, yes.
Man, you're brave soul.
I haven't used a Windows system willingly in over 15 years, and I'm not about to start.
You don't ever have to virtualize it for something for work or whatever?
I've had to do that one time in those 15 years, and that was for school. I don't count Mac as using a Windows system because they're not Windows. So
I mean,
that was
are
the
you
exception.
using like LibreOffice? Because God, I hate that so much.
Yeah, and it sucks. That is the one downside. And if I need an Office program, I'm usually using Google Docs, or I'm borrowing a MacBook off one of my buddies for like the one time a year I need it.
No
There's
effing
always
around
weird
and wanting to
formatting
try and
issues
get old
when I do
copy
that.
of Office to run.
I mean, I want to de-Microsoft my life, not increase the Microsoft in my life. That was kind of the point about getting away from Windows. If I can't run it on Linux, I don't run it. That includes video games. That includes any other utility I need. I find a way around it.
I am
What are you doing?
de-Googling
Game you want
myself
to
right
play
now.
doesn't have like Vulkan support.
Sorry,
Only
there's
got, like,
two convos. What was that?
Oh,
both
sure.
of
You
y'all?
go first.
You take
I'm
it.
trying to answer both of you.
Rock, paper, scissors. I was saying I'm trying to de-Google myself, getting all my stuff off of Google because we've got a server rack at the house from floor to ceiling, HVAC, everything. It's fully enclosed. It's a literal server room.
So,
And we host a thing called Nextcloud. So we're running all our emails and file storage and everything off of that right now. So I'm in the process of migrating out of Google into that because I don't like paying 30-some bucks a month per user for 5 terabytes when I've got 500.
I love my Nextcloud. I really do. I'm running what I guess would be considered a hybrid network. So I do have my cloud storage. I've been using AWS Glacier, which is very, very cheap quantity of storage.
Interesting. Is it any cheaper than Google?
Significantly so.
Okay.
I haven't double checked the prices recently, but it's a small fraction of S3 prices as long as you don't touch the data very often, which is great for having a cloud-based get out of town kit. You know, your thing about a go bag is people also forget their data in there, and there's a lot of people that have really important data out there. But if your computer crashes, you lose that data forever.
Yeah,
If you don't
that
have
was my
backups.
reasoning for using Google Drive.
And Glacier allows me to take control of my own storage, and that I encrypt it before it touches AWS's cloud. So they do technically have it, but I wish them luck. I decrypt it when it comes back in. I
Google
manage
was
it
weird
myself.
because I would encrypt stuff even with a password and it would flag it as malware. And I'm like, what? How do you even see that?
AWS kind of expects you to know what you're doing, so if you upload malware to your Glacier, that's on you, my dude.
Because like
Unless
I
you
would have,
wrote it.
like I would store training material and stuff where it's actual malware, but I would zip it. But for some reason, they would still be able to detect it.
Yeah. I have not encountered that with AWS, but I also give them ungodly amounts of money at this point
Right.
for my pretty unique hybrid cloud, because I don't know what possessed me to go down the SageMaker rabbit hole, but here we are, and now I'm broke. But yeah, no, Glacier is probably some of the best bang for your buck. SFTP Go mixed with a Glacier,
Yep.
S3
I've used that.
Glacier. That's some really cheap cloud storage that will treat you right. I've had good experiences. Of course, I do have my own 2U over there. It stores what I need that I don't care that much about, but it's always nice to have the offsite backup in AWS.
Yep.
How do you handle,
especially when you're Linux, Linux for life.
Are you opening ports or are you using a zero trust solution?
So this is going to sound really jank, but it's actually I'm planning a talk about it. I call it AWS Anarchy. And the idea is to milk as much free tier as you possibly can. Being why this is as jank as it is, I kind of developed this strat from using the student tier. But the idea is EC2, WireGuard into that EC2 instance, and everything else in your AWS can only be connected to from the IP of that WireGuard instance.
We do something similar using Cloudflare and I can't remember. I need to have my server guy on here.
I do use Cloudflare for anything that is public facing, but anything that's public facing, I keep on a separate virtual network as I kind of have them in my head, even though I know that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
But I'll use a separate WireGuard to tunnel into those. The admin portals will only be accessible over that specific WireGuard, and I'll use Cloudflare to control that. But for anything that is not public facing, as in my Nextcloud, which only serves to that one IP address.
Yep. So we use WireGuard for that same situation, but we also use NetMaker for creating local networks for like mounting drives remotely and stuff like that, which NetMaker's awesome. If nobody's heard of that, go check it out.
I haven't. I'll take a look at it. And
Ngrok is also great, but NetMaker's better.
Nice. And I don't know if y'all have seen the Discord mount Discord as local storage solutions.
Wait, what?
But I'm about to be going down that rabbit hole because I want to. Apparently someone managed to mount Discord as a local drive.
Is this a database?
That is exactly how they did it. Oh yeah, Discord is a file system. There it is. I hate to not give someone credit, so sending link to Studio now.
Studio
D drive. Mm-hmm. This is pretty insane. This is one of the more janky things I've done for exfil. If I know that Discord's not blocked, this is actually not bad for exfil. I haven't dug that much into it. I've only used it in testing so far, but so far it's been very promising.
Yeah, I saw a botnet that ran completely on Discord, but this is so much better because now you have an entire local file system. That's pretty cool shit.
Like, I have also seen a Discord botnet. In fact, I've made something similar. I literally have a Discord channel that I use just for my webhooks because I run a few hundred scrapers. And those scrapers hook back into my Discord to give me monitoring and everything for free that I'd normally have to pay bukus for.
Yeah, webhooks are cool. I was playing around with one not long ago with a Word doc where I put a canary in it, and then they opened it up. They didn't get notified, but I got the external and internal IP of where they opened it. Unfortunately, it was Zscaler, so it didn't really help much. It was usually a good way to try and at least de-anonymize somebody when they open up a PDF, though, or a Word doc. Cool shit.
When you say canary, are you talking about like back in the day where you could put like a single picture or a single pixel picture or something in an email, and when people open it, it would, pull down to load, and then you could see if that email was opened?
Yeah, it's a similar process. There's a website you can go to, and you can just like take any Word doc, and then you upload it. It puts a canary in there, and then when somebody opens it, you specify the webhook where you want it to go. When they open it, you kind of get like the information of what browser opened it, what IP address.
Oh yeah,
a lot of data. Sometimes it can be very useful if you're trying to determine the true source of where somebody's like opening a document. Maybe you're trying to de-anonymize a scammer or something, and they're like, send me your picture, but you send it to them in a Word doc with like your picture in it, and then when they open that, you see they're in Nigeria or whatever. It's a lot less intrusive than actually putting malware in a Word doc, which you could do fairly easily with social engineering toolkit if you don't have the skills to do that.
Yeah. And Beef does some cool stuff like that too.
Yeah, browser exploitation framework's great. We had Charles Schreier do a live demo of that a while back when we were doing Iron Geek podcast, and he
cool.
showed how you could, if you got somebody to go to your page and you had injected Beef, the JavaScript code in there, you could then read their Gmail if they had that open in another tab.
Yeah. I've used it in actual pen test reports before, and people are like, what the hell?
Oh, man, that's awesome. Yeah, Beef is cool. Browser exploitation framework. A lot of these tools you can grab from the pen test framework also. That's one of my favorite repositories when I get a new Linux distro and I need to install my tools and I don't want to run Kali for obvious reasons. I use that and I pull down a bunch of my stuff very quickly. Just a bunch of Python scripts that are like geared towards pulling down pen test tools.
So on the topic of tools, Jimmy 2 Times from Wisquas said he's good for next week.
Oh, finally. Excellent. My demo has expired on that. I didn't even get to play with it. So.
Oh, he sent me a bunch of others. I can give you more.
Nice. Yeah.
And then, well, I'll talk to you about that later. Anyways. Did any of you guys come home sick?
Oh, I had a bit of the con crud. I couldn't swallow really well for a few days, but it got better.
This was the first year I came home with a fever. Usually it's just a bad cold, but this time it was a fever and a cold.
Was it?
This is the first year I'm not sick.
Nice.
We didn't die, but I'm feeling okay now, but I still got a cough. And then the athlete's foot, that was fun. Don't buy new shoes the day before you're walking them.
Definitely bring broken in shoes to Defcon, especially if you're gooning. My gosh, you're walking like 17 miles a day back and forth.
Yep. It's better now. That new video was pretty cool. What'd you guys think of it?
Mostly positive. I did sneak in a day early and scoped it out and determined that the food was normally $7 a meal, so I'm a little salty about that. But
well, you could even get a drink with a single $5 Goon coin. Oh, go ahead there.
I was just saying the food could have used some salt too. That restaurant food at the venue sucked.
Like, if they're going to make us pay that much, at least make it good. They could put some butter in there. Like, I'm from the deep south. We don't eat that. No. All right. That kind of food is health food. It kills your soul, but it keeps your body alive. I prefer the opposite.
Yep. It's like, I swear to God, they cooked it in the morning and let it sit under that heat lamp all day until you order it.
That food is about as dry as some of my jokes.
Hey.
Oh, but nah. Seriously though, like, and then you had to walk forever. I ended up walking to the Denny's at least once a day. That Denny's kept us alive.
Did you try that bagel place across the street?
They always closed before I cared to get food because I don't normally eat breakfast.
They have everything. It's just I call it the bagel place because that's the biggest word on the sign with all the other words.
I never found it open, like, even once.
Oh, another funny story. So at Rio, so when you're a goon, right, you get these little shield badges things.
I see where this is going.
So normally I wear this with all my other Defcon badges, right? But I went to that.
Your poor mic, dude.
But I was at the Rio and went to the bathroom just wearing this. And I come out, the hotel security guard and a cop with his dog are standing out waiting for me. And they accosted me. And they're like, what is that? And I was like, have you heard of Defcon? They say, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I work for them. They're like, okay. And then I said, you guys remember the bomb threats last year? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm one of the guys that helped evacuate everybody before your asses even got there. And the cop laughed his ass off and pointed at me the direction I was trying to go.
Nice. That story changes just a little every time I hear it, but it's still pretty close to the original.
Whatever.
I blame the alcohol.
No, you can't blame the alcohol. All right, let's go with Troll 1 that you just sent me. Hopefully there's nothing in this that we can't play.
Uh-oh.
On the shores of insanity.
Oh, it's sideways. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is the sideways one, but it's still good.
The flight of the lemmings. Oh, I already messed it up. Start over. Okay. The garden crashes upon the shores of insanity. The pink horseshoe casts its shadow upon the sun. The plight of the lemming shall call forth the laughter of the evil ones. The ketchup is hallucinating. Neil. Yep. Thou art worthy.
Yay!
Any other takers?
So the backstory to this is, I forget what year that was, but we had those fake black badge tickets for a raffle, a quote-unquote raffle. People were doing anything they could to get their hands on them. And the drawing, quote-unquote, was supposed to take place during the closing ceremonies. So people were switching their plane tickets and everything and taking time off of work just to find out it was a big troll.
Now we got the second video in the series now.
Well, that's the rules. All right. What's up? The garden crashes upon the shores of insanity. The pink horseshoe casts its shadow upon the sun. The plight of the lemmings shall call forth the laughter of the evil ones. The ketchup is hallucinating.
Close enough.
Neil.
Perfect.
He put so much energy into that one. Like, dude was trying to summon an old god, and I'm here for it.
Nice.
There would be a different, there's a Twitter account giving out phrases every couple hours saying, go say this to a goon verbatim, and they'll give you a black badge raffle ticket. It was so much fun.
I got into the vendor area a couple of years ago, way before the con started, when they were setting up the snacky machine when I was there the first year. And I was walking around and I saw it had like the @snacky Twitter handle on it. I looked it up and it said something along the lines of, if you see this pattern, approach them and give them your favorite Matt Damon line. So I looked up, and that pattern was literally the shirt the guy right in front of me was wearing at the time, who was setting up the snacky machine. So I walked up to him like, how about them apples? And he goes, really? Already? That tweet's only 10 minutes old. And he gave me the Lily Go watch that year, as well as like the Bender badge from a few years ago that Nador did. It was great. Fun times.
Nice.
So, Sledge, rumor mill for Defcon. I heard somebody snuck into the sock. What happened there?
Okay, so the night before that story broke, that dude actually came up to me bragging about his badges, and I was like, he's showing me these fake badges. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, these are actually passable. According to Defcon policy, I'd say go. Looks good to me. But then the next morning, they snuck into the sock. Nobody noticed for hours. And when they finally came clean, one of the leads was like, okay, you could be a noon. So he basically got hired on the spot. And then the team lead, or the team meeting that morning, they explained what happened. And I was like, wait a minute, he's in here? And I look over at him, was like, yo, dude. And then we started chanting, one of us, one of us.
I went up to him. I gave him a couple of $5 goon coins. I'm like, hey, I'm Havoc. I heard what you did. It's really cool.
Nice.
I technically shouldn't have been in there either, though. So
what's crazy is it looks like a PCB board in that clamshell. It's literally just a printout on paper.
This is great.
Because everybody was speculating, like, how did he get a hold of a dev board? And we're like, no, he just printed that out from a picture.
Well done, though. I wonder if he like brought a 3D printer with him somewhere, and he just like banged that thing out.
He was saying, or somebody said that he found the clamshells as prototypes in a trash can somewhere. Could be wrong, but that was one theory I heard.
Interesting. Still badass nonetheless.
I did encounter a fake badge. Guy was using a hairdryer and a 2-liter Coke bottle to form the clamshell.
Hey, that would work.
He actually did a pretty good job of it too, especially seeing he used my hotel room to do it. So I watched the process, and it smelled like for quite some time in there.
Don't self-incriminate.
You know, hey, you said if it passes, it's all good. And the thing is, he did end up actually getting a real badge on like day 3. It's just his buddies, oh yeah, you'll have a badge, and then they immediately flaked on him.
I had a FedEx uniform and a Coca-Cola shirt, right? And my goal was I was going to try to see my way into Black Hat because a buddy was giving a workshop, one of those 4-day expensive-ass workshops. And the idea was sneak my way in there and just stand there with a shit-eating grin on my face and flip him off and see if you get a laugh out of it. But I couldn't find time to get my way over there.
Nice. I actually bought the shirt for Black Hat. Somebody sent me some of the info ahead of time, and I was going to put the decals on it and look like a volley over there, but I never got around to doing it this year. It's just too busy.
Yeah, for being one venue, we were pretty damn busy this year.
Yeah.
I guess the only downside to that venue is it's quite a ways from the strip and everything else.
Food court. Yeah, it's a food court. Downside.
Yeah, the food court's just...
That's a big downside. And there's no food nearby it either, so you end up getting creative.
Calling that food is a stretch. I walked across the street to that something blue, Fountain Blue or whatever. Mm-hmm. That place was pretty good. And half the price.
Mm-hmm. Despite the fact it looks like something out of Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
I love that game too. It is one of my favorites.
The airport is Camp McCarran, and no one can tell me any different. I actually Ubered to Camp McCarran. I accidentally said it because I'm hungover at this point, and I'm, taking the Uber to the airport. And the Uber just turns around and goes, "I got you." And I'm like, "Thanks, dude." He's like, "Great game, by the way." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Even when I lived in Vegas for like the 2 years, if you said Camp McCarran, everyone knew what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just the airport.
Did you guys use the shuttle to and from the convention center? I had to every day.
I drove.
I taxied. I taxied.
I was in between jobs, so I was broke. I had to use the shuttle, but I have a job, so
I was in between jobs. But I'll put it this way: I had a few people who owed me some money, so I collected and then did what I had.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends help me out, and if it wasn't for them, I wasn't even planning on going this year.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to make it either, but I had great friends help me out because being in between jobs, especially if the market right now is pretty rough.
We've had a whole podcast episode about that.
Got to keep the faith. Got to use ChatGPT to keep your LinkedIn current. I mean, nothing. Definitely didn't say the last one.
But like
multiple LinkedIns with slightly different profiles for different demographic jobs. And there's a lot of cool tricks out there. Hopefully some of them even work. But I still am employed with my current employer for a little over 2 years, but I've been looking for something since about a year ago. No luck. So just kind of making it work.
What was weird for me is I started my new job as pen test manager the day I got home from Defcon, and I'm like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that is inhumane. That's like a crime against hackerkind.
Do we want to? There's a lot of chats going on here.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we should definitely check out the comments section. There we go. Was it Entropic who dumped the dev boards? Just
I like this headcanon.
We got all these comments I missed. Oh, I feel horrible. LibreOffice does not handle large CSVs well with too many columns. I just use Google Sheets now instead. Wise. I've had to completely break formatting in Word docs.
Yeah.
And then when you resave it doesn't look like anything except gobbledygook.
When you export stuff from Google, it doesn't play well with Word. That's the only problem.
Nothing plays well with Word. Word sucks.
is its own thing.
Word doesn't even play well with Word half the time.
That's right. Nick Fury. I need to see a picture of you. I don't remember. But I'm terrible with names. Good to see you too, I guess.
Is that the Hacker Jeopardy in the background?
It looks like it is. With a little
No!
go up top.
Wait, no. I think I know him. I think he was on one of my Goon Squads a few years back. Yeah, it's that guy.
Nice. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, 23. Jesus fuck, we're getting old.
Dude, the first day over at HDA, Hackers with Disabilities, was a shit show. We had the Rio. It was the day before, like the setup day. Dropped off a bunch of people with wheelchairs and scooters, and then couldn't pick them up again, and just left them there. And we had to find out ways to get them home. Well, not home, but like back to their hotel and make sure they'd also be able to get there again the next day.
It was a shit show. They kept like unloading buses, transferring buses, moving people around, trying to figure that out. They just were not prepared.
No, they were not. And Delchai nearly freaking killed himself getting back and forth from the place. Got freaking heat stroke, wheeling down the avenue in his wheelchair after the bus wouldn't take him the rest of the way because of the construction. That really sucked. Really worried about that dude. But and next year is going to be better, I think, now that we've got the logistics worked out. And
now the venue actually knows what they're dealing with, because that was one thing I noticed from the day I snuck in early versus, going into Defcon. Talking to the security beforehand, they're like, yeah, it'll be fun. We got this. Day one, oh my God, we don't have this. Like, it was me going into finals.
A lot less drama too with like at Caesars and MGM, all those guys, because we left a bad taste in their mouth. So there was a lot of drama going on there.
Yeah, it's a shame I never got that sticker run done, because my stickers said DEFCON 31 was the bomb. Oops, our bad.
Oh, that one was fun. I even saw the guy walk in with a box.
Best part was that was also my birthday. My birthday was the bomb at Caesar's World.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm never forgetting that one. But yeah, now that the venue kind of like knows our size and knows the crowds they're dealing with, I think we're going to have a much better time. I think a lot of that was just DEFCON is a very strange conference. You can't handle DEFCON like other conferences, and the venue is probably like, oh yeah, we've done this 1 billion times, without really realizing how special DEFCON is.
Like special ed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
it's
from
that
my
summer
understanding,
camp.
I haven't seen the actual numbers, but I'm pretty damn sure this was a record year for attendance, and that venue is so big it didn't feel like it.
Yeah. It was a decent sized venue for sure. And that was just
the halls are so wide that crowd control becomes easy, and humans are just smart enough to understand what needs to happen. So it's like, oh, I only lost my voice on the last day, not the first day.
So Robert Rittenhouse says, I wanted to go to DEFCON 8 as a sophomore in high school. Still haven't made it yet. Soon. Robert, hope you do get to come out, man. That'd be awesome.
Find me. I'm the guy with the hammer.
And totally do not listen to the advice about the fake badges. Just buy a real one, dude. You'll save yourself money, I promise. Don't ask me how I know.
Also, having a real one on your wall, like up here, it's always cool to have.
I have one way back there.
So we ended up accidentally leaving a suitcase left at HDA that had Delchai's bone box in it. and a bunch of other important things, and we never got it back. We trying to follow up with like the venues got their own lost and found, and then the tag team people have one, but we have not been able to track that shit down yet. I really hope we find it. I feel bad that I left it there behind. I was having some friends help me carry some shit out, and I just somehow got lost in the shuffle.
Never trust people.
Never.
Yeah.
Well, second day at HCA, I was pretty happy because some of my friends from Vegas, because I lived there for like 2 years, stopped by. I had to deputize them because it was pretty much me running the place. And I did have some help from Chef and his wife as well. But like it was really cool to be able to go to one of my buddies and be like, yeah, you're going to be in charge while I walk these people up to the room and get them line cutting privileges. Because, you know.
So let me address what Squeezebox said. Keep putting the intention in, but it comes down to what industry and where you work. Because sometimes employers will just straight up pay you to go. Mm-hmm. But if they do not, at least ask for time off and pay for it on your own. Because it's worth doing it either way. Because when I first started going, I paid for it on my own the first year, and I come home with a better job. So always keep that in mind.
Absolutely. You learn a lot at Defcon. Definitely a lot of transferable skills.
It's not even about the learning. It's about the networking, if you ask me.
Absolutely. Like when I first did Defcon, I don't think I went to a single talk because I was too busy networking.
Not one talk, really not ever. That's
exactly
the best advice anybody will ever give you. Do not go to talks. They're going to be on YouTube in a month.
Yeah, just watch them there unless it's like a Sky Talk or something that's not going to be recorded. But even then, do so carefully because you're losing valuable networking time, and that networking time is what is going to be your ROI. Like, first time I went to DEF CON, I doubled my income.
Correct. Me too. First time I went to DEF CON, I was drunk as shit at a bar, and I look over to my left, some old guy in a booth is like, hey, come here. You want a job? And I was like, okay. Next thing I know, I'm working at IBM and moved to Atlanta.
Yep, kind of like what I did. And the second time, I also increased my income again pretty dramatically. And this time, I guess we'll see. But, you know, seeds are in the field. Field is growing. The opportunities you get from DEF CON are worth it. My last company basically said no one's allowed to go to conferences at all, even on your own time. If you work for a place like that, go to conferences, please.
They're afraid. They know you'll network and get something better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is why I'm currently in between roles, but it's worth it. Seriously.
And then the networking aspect, too, is important to go every year because you start to build a community and a family around you of just not only friends, but, well, not only like business associates and acquaintances, but you start to build a family of friends and a network that you can rely on when you need it.
Right. And everyone's awkward their first year. And the second year, you know, the door starts to open a little bit. My third year is really when I started seeing that, which was this year. Hi. Woo, I had a group to break into parties with. But
breaking into parties was one of the funnest things. So many stories, but anyways.
I remember waiting outside the pool party a few years ago for somebody to come out so they could just give me their thing to get in. It's great.
So
I just kept walking and they didn't stop me.
So rooftop party, speaker party at Black Hat, rooftop Caesar's Palace. One of the lady friends I had, it was my girlfriend's friend. Her ID was expired. The bouncer wouldn't let us in. We tried bribing him, everything, wouldn't let us in. So we kind of pulled back for a second and started watching how the maids got up to the kitchen. We followed them, figured out what floor to get off on the hotel or in the elevator. Then there's a second elevator. So then we just pop up into the kitchen and just walk in and we're like, sorry guys, we're lost. What's up?
One year, me and some friends were at the hidden party, which you had to like go find, which was stupid. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt to find a damn thing. But we're there, and dude whose hotel room it was a big hotel room, mind you, goes into the kitchen and slips and bangs his freaking head on the back of the tile. And like everybody's like, don't move. So somebody picks up the phone in the room and calls 911, but it gets rerouted to the hotel because that's just how they work. And they come up with a house doctor and like 4 security guards. And as soon as I saw that happening, I'm like, hey, everybody, they're coming up with like, they're going to clear us out. Make sure you get your shit and get out quickly. And like, you never seen a bunch of hackers scatter so quickly when they heard the hotel.
Cockroaches, go!
From like 2 guys stayed behind and were like putting garbage in bags to try and not let the guy get in as much trouble because it was a mess. And then dude's like just laying there. He's like not moving. And then finally the doctor comes and they talk to him. And I stayed because I'm a sucker. And I was like, yeah, I've been stabilizing him. I have CFRD training, yada, yada, yada. I told him not to move just in case something. And they're like, yeah, you did the right thing. Now you might want to get lost because they're checking everybody's ID and nobody's supposed to be in here who's not in this hotel. And I'm like, oh, all right, goodbye.
Yep, time to go.
I'm out.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see, nothing to do. And it's been some fun parties over the year. I had a blast with freaking Sledge at the Circle Bar because I had to stay an extra night because I was helping a friend with something. And I was kind of burnt. And I was like, hey, Sledge, can I crash at your room? He's like, sure. But it's like, just come over to the bar first. And had a blast over there. Met some really cool people. It was definitely a great night. Even though it was the
bar
last
is always lit. That's where the OGs hang out, especially the one over at the link.
Mm-hmm.
That duck guy was pretty cool too. I met. He was supposed to email me and never did, but he did take down the name of our podcast, so maybe we'll hear from him at some point.
Maybe he's watching right now. Hey, if that's you, comment.
Like, even if it's not you, comment anyways. Honestly, like we would appreciate it.
Make sure
that I don't remember. Were you with us when we were doing that? We were playing with the Tor polygraph badge at the Circle Bar.
I was not, sadly.
Oh, I mean, Frank, I don't remember if you were with me for that one.
I might have been. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to what everybody else was doing at the time.
It was kind of weird because we were playing around, like you stick your fingers in it and you slap each other, you don't get a response. And then you pull your fingers off, still no response. But if you wave your hand over it, the meter starts freaking out.
Nice. Maybe he's in the room with us right now. The call was coming from within the house. So yeah, it was a good Defcon.
That was the best one. From a goon perspective, that was the best Defcon I've ever had. And I've been doing this. This was year 14. Everything was cohesive. Everything was just perfect. And we only had a few medicals.
Squeezebox
and one guy carried out.
KBs. I guess that's how you pronounce that. KBZ. I am not familiar with this KBZ person. Are you, Sledge?
Does not ring a bell.
Well, whoever they are, I'm glad they were partially responsible for getting you into Defcon this year, Squeezebox.
They sound chill.
If anybody knows the term or the name Brad Smith, a.k.a. the nurse, he's the one that took my shy ass, took me around Defcon, introduced me to like all the big dogs. Like we just go up to like Mudge or the dude that wrote Signal, or Marlon Spike or Dave Kennedy, all these big dogs. He's just like, hey, this is Steve, say hi. And I'm just like, okay. So it broke my shyness. So now I'm at Defcon, social butterfly. And I'm trying to tell other people that it's okay to just be awkward. Go up, say hi, shake somebody's hand. They're going to be cool about it. And just talk, say anything. Be like, hey, I like dogs. Anything.
Do you like dogs?
Either. Yeah.
And that dude that wrote the SQL injection handbook, we sat down for a couple hours. He was doing mock interviews for me before I started a job. And all he could talk about was, hey, my finger got bit off by a shark.
I mean, it is a cool story, but shark got your digit. I mean, no, you don't really forget about that.
Absolutely, squeeze box.
Yeah. So I remember a few years ago, I was working SummerCon in New York, and I was checking the list and making sure everybody who's coming in is on the list because they didn't have QR codes yet. It was just like a CSV file, and you'd go through it and make sure when somebody comes in that their name's on the list and you give them the bracelet kind of thing. And the guy comes in and his name's on the list, and I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, your name's on the list. Who are you? And he goes, my name's Peter. I go, okay, Peter who? Zapco. And my friend was like, dude, you know who that is, right? And I'm like, do you have another name? He goes, look on the list for Mudge. And I'm like, oh, there you are. Okay. Sorry, my friend. By the way, I was expecting him to have like the long hair like you see in the photo, but nope, short crew cut at the time. Totally didn't look like what I expected. Nice guy though. And
we're talking about Raphael, right?
No, we're talking about the OG Mudge, not Raphael Mudge.
Okay, I see.
Guy. He's cool too, though. I met him at the vendor area at a conference where he was demoing Cobalt Strike, and I picked his brain about the copyright protections on it at the time because you could actually open the jar file up and edit that notepad, edit a file in Nano, and change essentially a variable that would let you have an unlimited trial. You just like put 9999 instead of 30 there. And I'm like, did you know that? Like, of course I left it like that. So the people who need to use it can use it. And, but going forward, I'm going to lock that down a lot more. And some bad guys are using it, and I don't want them to be able to get away with it as easy. So
they at least have to pay for the crime.
That's RS Mudge. We're talking about OG Mudge, the guy whose last name is Zapco, not last name actually being Mudge.
Right.
It gets confusing, though. A lot of similar names out there. And those DC 702 guys were great. I needed like a cable, and I hopped on the radio. I had one programmed, and I'm like, hey, I need a computer cable. And somebody just came up with the freaking power cable for the computer like 20 minutes later. I found one. They like went on a scavenger hunt to find one for me. It was really cool guys over in 702, man. This dude Hippie I know in there. He just got his first job. Pretty proud of him.
Yeah, Hippie's cool.
He's freaking awesome, dude. I helped him out with some gear and stuff and just some advice on home lab shit. But he definitely put in the work himself to make that happen. Awesome, dude.
And then another big thing about Defcon is it's not all about Defcon per se. Look into some of those invite-only, group conferences that they do on the side. We did one at the Red Mesa Alliance facility where it was limited to about 90 people. And what it is Red Team Alliance, I'm probably going to butcher this, but they work closely with Red Mesa, Covert Instruments. They're basically a facility that teaches you covert entry and red team stuff. So what they had set up was a reverse escape room kind of thing where you'd have to you'd bring your own tools, go up to a certain area of the challenge. One of them was like, oh, decode this lock. Here's a key cutter. Cut your own key. Now open this lock. And then go use an under the door tool, get through here, go live splice this cable and move this server rack to the other side of the room. It was a lot of fun. And then there's other private conferences where I can't say the name of it because we go by Chatham rules. So no phones, don't talk about it, that kind of thing, where it's usually talks that either get either practice for DEFCON or too sensitive for public consumption, stuff like that. So look for things like that. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, Chris Nickerson invited me to one of those a few years ago. It was really neat. It was some real superstars up there. It was Relic was there, Condor, a couple other.
Damn, I haven't seen Relic in a minute.
I didn't see him at DEFCON at all this year, but I saw him there last year. I don't know what he was. Probably they just did Black Hat this year, maybe. Who knows? He's freaking awesome, OG. I digress. So, what else would you guys like to cover this week? Anything else?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but if we're on par for our goal to keeping it near an hour and a half, is there anything else?
I don't know, but your whole desk just shook. Is that your knee there?
No, my dogs are freaking out. They broke through the dog door again.
I want to see dogs.
Yeah.
They were on camera for a minute there.
For like a second. Come on. Show us the puppies. Animal tax. The viewers love dogs. Like,
Boys.
The internet was made for pets.
Socks and nicks. Socks for socket, nicks for Unix.
Aww.
Boys.
And now they're just like ignoring you. Of course they are. Good job, demo gods.
That is how it goes. All right. So with that, I'm going to do our outro. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to try to keep these a little bit closer to an hour and a half and not go for 4 hours like we sometimes do.
Our first one was almost 5 hours.
Yeah, we also shot the shit and we hadn't talked in a bit, so it works. Altkey, I hope you'll come back next week or another time. It's been great having you on, and really great work with the badge there.
And for everyone else, future episodes are going to include a demo of a recon and OSINT tool called Whisquas with the owner Jimmy 2 times. And then we're also thinking about having a bunch of goons on to talk about goon life.
Sounds like a plan. Will Whiskey be there?
Yes.
Excellent.
She said next week is good for her.
Tough, but fair. Alrighty. So, with the outro.
That didn't work.
That did not work. Oh, what the heck?
You.
Try that again.
Take 2.
You're a cringe dance.
We free in the spotlight, shining through the late night. Smart contracts are lying, auditing defying. Counter-surveil in my ear. Security we engineer. Learn the truth, don't disappear.
It's so cool what you can do with that AI for the music.
Crypto dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems. Fix the flaws, see through the smog. CounterSurveil, join the blog. Oh, information overflow. What we leak is what we sow. In this world and this flow. Facts we need to truly know.
It's over. Go home.
Counter-Surveil standing tall. Together we decode it all.
Go.